Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. My name is Marya and here on this channel we talk about books, movies, and more. A huge thank you to anyone who has clicked on this video, to any new and returning subscribers. Today I will be doing a little spoilery video for you. You may or may not be aware, but I have been very obsessed with the Books of Babel series by Josiah Bancroft. And today I wanted to do a video dedicated to the last book, the last installment of the series, The Fall of Babel. And this, as you can tell from the title, is a little defense of the fourth book. I'm even hesitant to call this a defense of The Fall of Babel because I think this is a strong last book to the series, although there have been many other people who would disagree with me. This is a very polarizing last book. And this is by no means meant to be a video that casts aspersions on those who had problems with it. I'll be going over some of the major points of contention that I've noticed been repeating in other people's reviews. And I'll be sharing my thoughts on these points, giving my perspective and how it may differ from other people. So without further ado, let's start off with the first major point. One of the main hurdles I've seen a couple of readers have with The Fall of Babel is the first part, the first section where we're following Adam's point of view. I've seen them say that, they find it boring. They, wish that they could just move on to Senlin or Edith if that first portion is kind of just removed. However, I just don't see there any way to remove that part because honestly, I feel that it is integral to this book, to the final installment. Remember, the last time we see Adam is at the Arm of the Sphinx, the end of it, and he's completely gone for the Hod King, so we do need to find out what happens to him. Another reason why Adam's point of view is so important, it's because we are introduced to Nebos, the capstone, the jewel of the Tower of Babel is introduced in Adam's POV, and we get to know more about the people that inhabit it and, the culture there. But then it also establishes a lot of the social, societal themes that Bancroft was, trying to get at. Another reason why Nebos was so important to establish in the beginning, because it has such a huge purpose towards the end, like a massive purpose. And I feel that if Nebos, if we took out Adam's point of view and we kind of just lodged it at the end, we kind of info dump everything at the end, it would make for a more janky reading experience. Another alternative way could have been Adam, Senlin, Edith, have their point of views alternate, which I think would have been more annoying and frustrating for the reader because now we're constantly moving back and forth. Through Adam's point of view, where we get to be introduced to Nebos, we also have an opportunity to seed more clues to the ending. I think another little gripe that people had was how the ending was. I saw a lot of people say that it was just completely unexpected. It was out of left field. It didn't make sense. The fact that Nebos is a spaceship and it's going to get launched into space. But I do feel that from the Arm of the Sphinx, we kind of have clues already. I remember the Sphinx's conversation with Senlin towards the end of Arm of the Sphinx, the second book, where she describes what lies behind the door as meant to be a bridge. And she suggests it's going to be a bridge to the stars. And Senlin scoffs at the idea. But that idea of a bridge to the stars, I think that already is sort of a seed being planted by the author, to allude to what Nebos really is. And then in Adam's point of view, we find out about the Nautilus, this strange, sort of source of fuel that is just too powerful. It can't just be for, creating steam. It's hinted that it's meant for something more. And then we also find out that there are tremors that occur. And then the Nebosans are, they're uncertain why they're happening, why are they happening so frequently. I think all of these little details build up to the fact that, Nebos is in fact a ship. So I don't see that ending coming out of left field, especially when you consider it is through Adam's POV. We get more clues hinting at what Nebos really is. And that is just another main reason why I feel that his point of view is very important and it really shouldn't be dismissed. The next major point of contention I noticed amongst readers is this feeling that Senlin has taken a backseat in the story of The Fall of Babel. And I can understand that because, Tom is my favorite character. His journey is the one I'm most invested in. However, I have noticed that ever since the end of, Senlin Ascends and moving on to the Army of the Sphinx, it became less about Tom solely and more about the ensemble. Because remember, this series is called The Books of Babel. And I think that Tom's personal journey, his personal quest to find Marya, to find his wife, is sort of our gateway into being introduced to the macrocosm of problems that plague the tower. Because Tom's journey, it's not unique. Remember, there have been thousands upon thousands of people just like Tom who have went to the tower all, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and lost a loved one. It's not a unique story. However, it's a very personal one, and I think a very relatable one. With regards to fantasy, I think it's harder for the average reader to relate to a protagonist who is like, an assassin who is spurned and wants to take revenge, or he's part of a group of freedom fighters who want to take down an empire. But anyone can be a schmuck who goes on vacation and loses a loved one. It's, like I said, it's not unique, but it feels very personal. So while it is a gripe for some people, I do like the fact that there are readers who want more Tom. They wanted to see Senlin's point of view a bit more. Because I feel that, especially in Senlin Ascends, the character of Senlin is hit or miss for a lot of people. Maybe they don't like how much of a schmuck he is. Maybe they would prefer a more like morally gray, exciting character. But yeah, Tom is my favorite character. I like the fact how he's average and very flawed, and I just grew to care for him throughout the books. And although he is my favorite, I do understand that his story is just one out of many in this large grand scale story. The next major hurdle that I noticed a number of readers had was the lack of answers to all the questions. And there was this feeling of the story being unfinished. For me, these unanswered questions did not hinder the effectiveness of the story that Bancroft wanted to tell in these 4 books, nor did they hinder the progression and conclusion of these character arcs. If anything, these unanswered questions deepen the story and I think allow the reader to sort of think more about the world. And depending on your interpretation of the series, the ending, I feel that the unanswered questions can help you theorize, basically, what is to come or what's in store for the future. Not knowing who the bricklayer is, not knowing, what the exact destination of Nebos is, not knowing what the purpose of the tower was, I feel doesn't really diminish the story or the themes that Bancroft was trying to impart, through the books of Babel. At least for me, this series is about mankind's journey, his progression, not necessarily about the initial vision, not the final destination, but about the actions he's committing in the here and now, in the present, whether it is for the benefit of his own good and for the coming generations. Although it is frustrating for some people, I do appreciate that there is room for our imagination. Now, the last 2 major points of contention I wanted to discuss both have to deal with the ending. So the first one is the fact that the crew is now separated and probably forever. There is no sort of satisfying reunion between Senlin and his crew. He doesn't really get to be introduced to Anne or, talk again with Byron and so on and so forth. He never gets to see like Fingal and Taru again. However, I don't think this abrupt separation comes out of nowhere. I feel that, from the Hod King, where we see the Red Sea, Adam's point of view, where we're getting hints that, there's something happening. Something like we're on a deadline. Like there's a timer that we don't know what's going to happen at the end. And of course, we find out that Nebos is going to launch. That's what awaits at the end of the countdown. And it just so happens that this group of people is left on the tower, and this group of people happens to be in the city. And that's just how it is. Like, there really is no room for that reunion. The plot doesn't give it. And overall, I'm okay with the ending because I feel that the character arcs that we were introduced to, that we followed, have come to a proper conclusion. Those who are in Nebos needed to be in Nebos, and those who, stayed behind the tower needed to stay behind in the tower. I mean, for example, you have Voletta and Adam. Voletta has always been a dreamer, a wanderer. However, she learns that she does want that anchor of love of her brother. And now she's on Nebos. she and Adam are like the navigator and pilot. She gets to explore. She does get to satisfy that part of her that does love to wander. But she has her brother with her. She has that anchor she needs. And then for Tom and Marya, they finally have, this chance at a new beginning, a fresh start after suffering so much in the tower. And then you have Edith and crew. Edith and Byron, those characters have always been the ones that are more invested in the plight of the tower and trying to fix the problems that plague it. And they're the ones with the proper, I feel like, personality, strengths to do that, to be that first step, to heal, to be the proper stewards that will kind of turn the tower around and make it that place of progress that the bricklayer envisioned. It may not be an ending that satisfies the reader's, own personal wants, but it is an ending that does satisfy the character arcs that we were following. And with regards to the ending, I'm going to move on to the last major point of contention I've noticed, and that is the reunion between Tom and Marya. I have noticed readers discuss that they weren't a fan of the reunion, like they wanted it to be more sweeter, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't want that, because I did. But I do appreciate that Bancroft made this reunion realistic. It makes sense that Tom and Marya aren't going to dive back immediately into one another, especially after all the pain and suffering that each of them have went through. Not to mention that each of them have gone through so much that they have arrived in Nebos as like two different people, and they both have to kind of become acquainted with, these changed persons. Yes, could Bancroft had written an epilogue where everyone is A-okay? Sure, he could have done that. However, I feel that to do so would be brushing aside the legitimate trauma that Marya had suffered. And I do appreciate that this ending acknowledges the fact that it's going to take time to heal, not only for herself, but also for her and Tom. There's actually a really great video done by Philip Chase, who is an author here on BookTube, where him and Alan of Alexandria, they discuss the Fall of Babel, spoiler, non-spoilery review. And there's a portion of that video where Alan's wife, Christina, comes on and she basically explains, her thoughts about the reunion between Tom and Marya. And it was amazing. Like, she and I were like on the same wavelength because we thought the exact same thing. How initially we were disappointed that it wasn't as happy as we wanted it, but we came to see how instead of being idealistic, the reunion was realistic and the beauty behind it. And she shared this letter that she wrote to Josiah Bancroft explaining her own thoughts, and it was just so beautiful. I nearly cried because they were like my thoughts, but just properly expressed. So I highly recommend that you check out that video. Tom and Marya have this fresh start, this new beginning. They have this opportunity to reforge their relationship into something deeper, into something stronger, something that has withstood the trials of the tower. The thing is, I would have been less accepting of the reunion, the ending, if Marya's last words, with Tom rung with a bit of finality. Like she told him, good luck and goodbye. But that's not what she said. She invites him to dinner because she wants to talk more. I noticed that in a lot of reviews, there were some people asking, oh, why doesn't Marya understand what Tom has been through? Because they haven't talked yet. After Nebos gets launched, they have to sort of like adjust to their new situation. But the ending to me was like, okay, she invites him for dinner and they're going to talk. So this is going to be the first step to properly reconciling. And the thing is, they have the time now. They have the time to do so. And yeah, to me, it was a very hopeful ending. But the thing is, with hope, it operates in spite of a lack of guarantee. That's the whole point of hope. It's something scary, but it's something beautiful. And I feel that encapsulates, Nebos' journey. They're out in space. It's terrifying. It's vast. But there is beauty to behold in it. So that was my little defense on the Fall of Babel. So to anyone who has read the series, please let me know down below. What did you think of that last book? Do you agree with some of the points I brought up? Do you disagree? I would love to learn more. I would love to, talk to more fans of the series for sure. So yeah, thank you all for clicking. Thank you all for checking out this video. I will see you next time. Bye.